And the NBA says Detroit Pistons star Cade Cunningham and the Lakers' Luka Doncic remain eligible for league awards despite missing games, granted exceptions for medical and personal reasons. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron will hit another milestone when the Lakers play Houston Saturday in Game 1 of the Western Conference playoffs. This will be LeBron's 19th playoff appearance, which ties him for the NBA record with Karl Malone and John Stockton. Game 1 tips off tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at Crypto.com. Live coverage on ABC. With the injuries to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, LeBron's son Bronny has moved up in the Lakers' rotation. In the last 6 games, Bronny is averaging 17.2 minutes. The Dodgers begin a 7-game road trip tonight at Colorado. The Dodgers are 14-4, best record in Major League Baseball. The Yankees are glad the Angels have left New York City. During the 4-game series at Yankee Stadium, Angels outfielder Mike Trout hit 5 home runs and had 9 RBIs. Trout became one of only 4 players in MLB history to hit 5 home runs in a series against the Yankees. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
KBLA Talk 1580. That's her theme song. And you better watch out because she is in the studio. She is a distinguished professor of psychiatry, biobehavioral sciences, a director for the Center for Culture, Trauma, and Mental Health Disparities at the UCLA School of Medicine at UCLA. She is an author and so much more. Clearly a fighter, the eye of the tiger. Dr. Gail Wyatt, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm blessed. It's so great to see you.
Good to see you, too.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a good morning to start thinking about new things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I really appreciate you helping us process these things because the flood the zone thing is happening with the news and it feels very fast and furious. But I think sometimes I try to, eat that elephant one bite at a time, and you do such a great job of helping us.
Oh, thank you. I'm pleased to be here. I'm so glad this station is here and available to the communities that it reaches. I wish everyone could hear these conversations, because you have the courage to bring up issues that other people want to romanticize and, gloss over and just say, go watch this or do this. This really requires us to maybe change the way that we've considered who we are in terms of our parenting, our educating our young people, and even taking in serious consideration how we select the people who come into our lives, who we love, who we claim are family. Maybe they are, but they're not acting like it. There's just a lot to take in here, and I'm really glad we're going to have this conversation.
Yeah, so the first thing that made me start thinking about this time around is the man who was the front runner in the Democratic gubernatorial race here in California. He's a former congressman now, Representative Eric Swalwell, and all of the information that started coming out about him led to him dropping out of the race and resigning from Congress. He was not the only one that resigned from Congress Tuesday, though. It was Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez, a Republican and a Democrat. Both of them, Gonzalez had an affair, and I don't know what was going on with that, but the woman suicided, and then
she lit herself on fire.
Yeah.
This is not just a suicide. This is a statement. I am totally worthless. That's what that kind of suicide. Because the way that people decide to end their lives has a lot to do with how they feel about themselves or who's in their life or the conflicts that they're going through. That one said, I don't mean to give myself any value. I am trash.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, that means she was seriously disturbed about whatever had gone on. You can't take that lightly at all. Can't take it lightly no matter how she might have ended her life. But what we're not taking seriously is this issue of the predator in us as people. And look, those are not the only cases that we're dealing with that have to do with child exploitation, trafficking, sexual abuse, physical abuse, violence, abduction. All of these things are already in our lives, but we're drilling down on these two cases. Isn't that interesting?
Well, yeah, and it seems like, there's so much that is coming up in the news on this specific topic. Of course, Swalwell has been accused of rape. There's an investigation underway. Also being a philanderer, but also being a sex pest. I don't know if that's a technical word, but sending people pictures they don't want, pressuring them for sex. There's a really gross video of him circulating that has been verified by CNN to be not AI.
Whoa.
And then I wonder about, you said, we got to deal with the predator in us. It feels like a predator reckoning right now between this, the Epstein files, and all these other cases swirling around. One thing that comes up a lot is why is this an open secret and nothing is done about it until an election or someone lights themselves on fire?
Exactly. And the first article that I wrote came out in the mid-'80s. This is just how long this issue has gone on. Where we talked about the fact that, does this happen in the Black community? Does it happen in amongst mostly white communities? Where is this going? Who are these people, in other words, who are preying on children? And why is this taking so long? Well, that was the mid-'80s. Look at it now. Here we are in the middle of 2026, and we're finally acting as if, you mean this goes on, and who are these people? It took this long on my whole professional life to see that finally people are listening, that this isn't something we can just blot out and say, oh, you can't remember it because it happened too long ago. That's the way it was when I started doing this research. And the reason that I had such trouble even getting it published was that the people who were publishing said, this isn't real. These women aren't telling the truth. it happened too long ago for anybody to really think it's credible. Oh my gosh, we have demolished all those myths. We do know that people can remember. They can remember very accurately. There may be some pieces that are fuzzy, but what actually happened and who it was, that's clear as a bell.
Yeah. And I mean, I know you hear this all the time because I do, and I'm not in your line of work. Mm-hmm. Why did she wait so long? Yeah. Why did he wait so long? They're just opportunists.
Yes, and it's a good question. Why would a person want to wait so long if they knew that this wasn't supposed to happen, no matter who it was, that they knew that they'd be believed? Two issues. Happened a long time ago, and can your memory hold up if you have to say it over and over and over again? And who cares? Am I going to get blamed? That's number 3.
Yeah.
So the reason that people don't come forward immediately is because of the stigma. If we would just treat sex like we do improving our hearing. Do you know how many advertisements there are about hearing aids? You know,
that's true.
Most of us, like me, wear glasses. It's okay for our ears and our eyes to get old, and we have to do something about it. But our bodies, we just can't accept the responsibility of saying, nobody's supposed to be bothering our bodies. This is a healthy entity. This is my vesicle. It's my temple. You call it what you want, not trash, but you call it something beautiful because that's what it is. We can't accept that responsibility. We are still running away from it. Religious people can say, oh, you're not supposed to be doing this or that. They can't derive for you what you should be doing with your body. They're not going to be there with when you stand before God and say, look, here's my life. I made these 4 mistakes. Now, can I get into heaven? Is that going to happen for you if you just keep a secret, you know, and don't tell, don't offend the family, don't get on punishment because you knew you were someplace you weren't supposed to be and this happened? And that happens a lot.
I mean, I'm going to say also, Dr. Wyatt, from my own personal experience as a sexual assault survivor,
yes,
that it's also a professional consideration. Right?
Yes.
That if we name names, if I name names, I may never work again.
And you are absolutely right to think about that because that's a huge issue, isn't it? And particularly if you're a person of color or you're a woman or you have some kind of label on who you are and how you conduct yourself, you better think about how it's going to come back.
I mean, even
you.
Brandy, the superstar,
Yes.
singer,
Yes.
she now is redefining her relationship with Wanya from Boys to Men. Not redefining it, but clarifying it because people made it seem like it's a consensual relationship, but she was a child.
She was a child.
And he was over 21.
Yes. And not that either of them knew what they were doing, but he was a predator. And you have to identify when you see those behaviors, you just can't excuse that. You know, when someone preys on somebody else, making them feel lonely, abandoned, afraid, terrified to say anything, then they are a predator. And that label distinguishes him. The fact that our brains, Dominique, do not develop fully until we're about 25 years old. Isn't that something?
So by that measure, we could say, well, his brain wasn't developed either.
That's what I'm saying. Neither of them knew what they were clearly doing.
Right.
But because he put together behaviors that frightened her, terrified her, made her feel that she couldn't say anything, or confused her into thinking this is romance, she didn't talk about it. She didn't frame it. And I did this, but I really shouldn't have. She didn't say that immediately. It took some time. And that's understandable because most people misinterpret grooming as something that's it's something to be proud of. So-and-so's going to take me to lunch.
Right.
I'm going to this dinner and I'm going to dress up and we're going to that party, or we're going to walk the red carpet for this event. Oh, those things just knock us out. Because most people live in a romantic bubble. We want to think that someone's picking us out, making us feel special because we are special. We are special, but not for those reasons. Not so you can allow a person to make you feel good about yourself and then rape you at the same time. How does that work? So what I'm saying is we need to talk about these issues thoroughly and make people understand if they don't know themselves, if they don't know what they may be a little bit vulnerable to and what they need to look out for in people, then you fall for the grooming that says, well, I'm 15, he's 21, he's a grown man, and he's interested in me. Actually, the age gap between most predators and the first-time rapists, victims, survivors, is about 5 or 6 years. It's significant, so that you don't know what you're doing. They may not know what they're doing, but they know enough to know they want to be a predator.
And they know it's against the law.
And they know it's against the law, and they know they better shut you up.
Dr. Gail Wyatt is my guest. You're invited in at 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. Kwamel says we have a predator reckoning every few years, but it sure feels like we're having one right now. We are processing that on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Prince and the Revolution!
10 years ago, the world lost a genius.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince trusted few people. Tavis Smiley was one of them.
Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Tavis Smiley. Tonight, a rare conversation with one of music's biggest superstars, Prince.
Prince opened up to Tavis in ways he rarely did with anyone else. Honest, unfiltered, and unforgettable. On Tuesday, April 21st, as we mark the 10th anniversary of his transition, experience 3 uninterrupted hours of Prince in his own words.
When people criticize my work and attack my personality, it doesn't help me. I can't do anything with it.
Don't just remember Prince, hear him.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants.
Tavis Smiley, Tuesday, April 21st, only on Tavis Smiley.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Gail Wyatt is my guest. We're talking about this predator reckoning that I feel we're going through, and I always, love Dr. Wyatt helps us process things in a more healthy manner. And here's a question. When we're reading all this stuff, I'll use the example of Afrika Bambaataa, one of the pioneers of hip-hop, who also became known for forcing sex on children. And we know, there's a lot of love for him in hip-hop because he's one of the founding fathers, but at the same time, he's a pedophile. Allegedly, but I mean, the actual victims have come forward. So do these things, do they impact us more than we think they do? Are we just not talking about it or not thinking about it, even though we're not the child and we're not Afrika Bambaataa, but yet it hits us in some kind of way?
That's a good question. I mean, you're asking me, can a good person, because they have talent and they're a child of God, also do really bad things? And do you allow the bad things to overweigh the good? Is that the question you really
Well,
asking
that's
me?
a great question. I'm wondering if we, the public, consuming these stories, are having sort of a parasocial relationship with Afrika Bambaataa. Whether am I grieving? Am I grieving for those little kids? Am I being triggered and not even dealing with that?
See, I don't think we can all just take it the way that someone else might take it. I think you have to take it in your own way, depending on what's happened to you in your life. You may be able to, and this would be, I guess, the optimal. You can see that people are multifaceted. They have talents, they have all kinds of goodwill in their lives. At the end of the day, that's the person. Then some horrible things happen to them, and they ended up being a predator and a pedophile to boot. And so does the fact that they're hurting other people, override their basic goodness? And if I had a history of being harmed by people and taken advantage of, and to the fact that I think it altered my life and I couldn't really master it, I'd say, yeah, I wouldn't want to be in that person's presence or in a concert or listening to them no matter what, because that bad is so overriding in my life, I can't ignore it, and I shouldn't ignor it.
Ben Frank agrees with you in the YouTube chat. He says, yes, the bad overweighs the good for him. Yesterday, the singer, I didn't know about him until the case was arrested for the suspected murder of a young girl. It's David. He spells it with a 4 in it. And apparently she was his girlfriend. Celeste Rivas is her name, but she was 16, 15 or something like that. When he 14. Oh, Lord. When he started dating her, and she was found, her body dismembered and decomposed in the trunk of his Tesla. Again, the same week as Swalwell and Katy Perry and Afrika Bambaataa and all.
Well, wait a minute. There's a bigger one. The President of the United States has been accused of these same things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have a heavy burden that we're dealing with in our society right now. And how are we going to handle it? Are we going to focus on Swalwell? I think that's the intent, is to push him forward. All of this is programmed, Dominique. These disclosures came out too quickly, too organized. People had lawyers. I mean, everything was almost like a play. And all you do is say, now the play is going to begin, and they all come out and take their parts. That's not the way this really happens in life, But this is intended to really focus and distract us from what we already have been waiting to hear, and that is, where are the other 3 million copies, papers, that we will probably never see, having to do with the Jeffrey Epstein cases? And those survivors, what's going to become of them? So we've got a lot to deal with.
So what do you make of Melania Trump getting up and making a speech saying she's not an Epstein victim, and putting the onus on those survivors to get back and testify again before Congress?
I think that's another distraction.
Really?
Because the survivors have already told their story. Now, how many times do they have to tell it for people to believe them? Experts listened to their stories initially. Now they're going to testify before Congress so they can be questioned. What do they know? If they had known so much or cared, wouldn't that have been something that they would have demanded be discussed and brought to the light of, people and some kind of punishment? This case started decades ago. This guy, this Jeffrey Epstein, is not a new person. He may have passed away in 2019, but he was doing what he was doing for a long time. Who was watching this, and why didn't anybody say anything? That's because it really didn't matter. And when they were able to see the good or whatever it was they wanted from him and ignore the fact that he was hurting girls and women and all kinds of things, I'll never know. But the point is, people do it all the time. They select, they cherry pick the things that they want to remember and the things they want to ignore. That's why this issue of being a predator, of being sexually abused, has lasted as long as it has. That's because people don't want to deal with it. Some of the people that didn't want to publish my work, didn't want me to say anything for so long, kept saying, you better keep quiet because your career will be affected.
Wow.
I had to decide, this is not about me. This is about trying to make my findings public because people need to know. Because we went through 400 years of nobody saying anything or being able to say anything. And now it's our time to talk. How long do we have to be carried by our ancestors? We need to be the ancestors right now. We need to be the ones who are preparing this world for our children and our grandchildren and on and on. And we can't do that by keeping these kinds of heavy secrets that they need to understand. So this is the time for us to discuss to them that things may happen to them that are in total contradiction to what we told them to do, or they were in places we absolutely told them not to go. And yet, something happened to them that they were frightened by, that harmed them, that made them feel afraid or confused them. Sometimes sexual abuse feels good because our bodies are just our bodies. If you touch it in a certain way, you can still get the same response as you could with somebody who did it in a loving way. Isn't that odd? But it's just a body. It's our minds that rule what goes on and how we judge those things. So I'm saying this has to be a part of our education today in this city, in this community, in this country, in this world. We can't hide this anymore. Eric Swalwell is only one. There are so many predators out there. We need to talk about what are the characteristics of these people. Maybe we can help people to avoid the same traps that so many people, men and women, have fallen into.
Yeah, it's so well said. Fahima Sek is in the chat saying, how can a 14-year-old be a grown man's girlfriend? Shaking my head. Yeah, I certainly didn't mean to imply that that was a normal relationship or that was a consensual relationship, because a child cannot give consent, right?
Even if she says or he says yes, that's not consent because they don't really know what's going to happen. They're in an age range where you can't predict what is going to happen in the future with the behavior that's going on now. And that's the difference between concrete thinking and abstract thinking, when you can say, I'm going to buy this apple today, but I know that when I get to the stand and I have to pay for it, I clearly don't have that money.
Dr. Gail Wyatt is with us. We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A jury has reached a verdict in the federal antitrust case against Live Nation and Ticketmaster. The jury found Live Nation acted as an illegal monopoly. Plaintiff's attorney Jeffrey Kessler says it's a great day for antitrust law.
It's a great day for consumers and fans, and it's a great day for the 34 states and District of Columbia who I've been honored to work for on this matter.
Live Nation plans to challenge the ruling. It's been more than 26 years since Asha Degree, a black girl, vanished from her North Carolina home at just 10 years old. Now her family is renewing their push for answers, increasing the reward to $100,000 for information about her disappearance. And Lil Jon is opening up about fame and loss in his first memoir. I Only Shout So You Can Hear Me traces his life story, including the death of his son, Nathan Smith, and will be released October 20th. Get BIN News now, on demand, 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron will hit another milestone when the Lakers play Houston Saturday in Game 1 of the Western Conference playoffs. This will be LeBron's 19th playoff appearance, which ties him for the NBA record with Karl Malone and John Stockton. Game 1 tips off tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at Crypto.com. Live coverage on ABC. With the injuries to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, LeBron's son Bronny has moved up in the Lakers' rotation. In the last 6 games, Bronny is averaging 17.2 minutes. The Dodgers begin a 7-game road trip tonight at Colorado. The Dodgers are 14-4, best record in Major League Baseball. The Yankees are glad the Angels have left New York City. During the 4-game series at Yankee Stadium, Angels outfielder Mike Trout hit 5 home runs and had 9 RBIs. Trout became one of only 4 players in MLB history to hit 5 home runs in a series against the Yankees. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Tyrone Owens, and this is my home for 23 years that burned in the fire. Me and my wife, Charlene, we had this whole yard decorated every year.
This was the house that sparkled throughout the entire neighborhood on all the holidays. It's a community that will never be the same due to the negligence of a utility company. So I am pretty upset about that.
We were nowhere near being able to rebuild with our insurance. It's going to cost $1 million to put your house back up.
I want to get back to that point where we were before the fire. I'm starting to get emotional, but I'll work through it. LA Fire Justice has been wonderful for us. They're just caring people. I mean, we have all faith in them.
Big ups to LA Fire Justice, who's given us hope to rebuild 100%.
Advertisement. Douglas Foster, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Fig Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Can we just talk?
You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
You better work. She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Gail Wyatt is our guest. I feel like there's almost too much to fit into one show, and you've got so many folks here in the YouTube chat weighing in. I know you were wanting to address a couple of these comments. Dr. Gail Wyatt, author. She's also a psychiatrist and really a pioneer in this space. When I read your book, Stolen Women, I was so... It was life-shaking because it said, okay, this is a totally different frame for how we look at our bodies, how we look at the abuse of us, and tying in today's sexual constant predator reckoning with enslavement and all of the history of abuse, particularly of Black women.
Oh, that warms my heart for me to hear you say you read it, because I wish people had read it more.
It's not too late.
It's not too late.
Because there's still things in there. Yeah, you need to read it.
And we really need it more than ever, because it's not just focusing on the abuse. It's focusing on where we came from.
Right.
And how we were treated initially. That really groomed us as a people to be so silent during slavery. Because if you spoke out against it and said you didn't want to have sex with somebody who owned you, they would tell you, well, wait a minute, I own you. You know, how are you going to argue that?
Yeah.
What could Sally Hemings say to Thomas Jefferson? You know,
speaking of consent.
Right. And the many children she had for him. What could she say? No, not this time.
And what's crazy is, like, that was one of my examples. People say, well, what about Afrika Bambaataa? He founded hip-hop. Okay, so we can say he's a founder of hip-hop and he's a sexual predator.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he didn't found hip-hop, but
right.
we haven't thrown away Thomas Jefferson.
No.
We know he was an enslaver and, you know, by definition of what you just said, a rapist.
A rapist, and he had all convenient, because if you go and you look at where he lived, there's a little flight of stairs where he could move from the big house to her quarters, which were attached to the big house, so that he could have access to her. Now, people could say, oh, he probably cared about her more than he did his other wife. Well, I guess wife. I don't believe he ever married Sally Hemings. But what I'm saying is you can gloss that over and say, well, you know, he had access to both of these women when he wanted them, and all the children that she had by him were in that little house. Or you could say, wow, he could have access to her night or day, you know, no matter what she wanted. And no matter the fact that she had all these children, he didn't set her free. Let's just remember that when he died.
Yeah, not even when he died.
Not even when he died. So that says a lot about the narcissism of a predator and how they want to focus on themselves and their needs, not the fact that this is a child, vulnerable, developing, confused, easily congratulated and made to feel good if you say something good about it. And for some of these kids today who don't get enough reinforcement about who they are and what they can be, it really sets them up for these kinds of situations. And it's very disturbing to me to see that our parents, our adults in our communities, our leaders don't speak up enough about how we have to be careful not to emulate the same steps that our ancestors did by just saying, well, I'm just going to let this slide. No, we need to speak out. We need to stand up. We need to make sure people know this is not okay for you to identify us as constant victims. Survivors sounds like we've survived it. I'm not sure that all of us have.
Yeah. Well, I did read it, Dr. Gail Wyatt, and that's why I've been bothering you ever since to be on every single radio show that I've ever hosted. Oh, here comes Dominique. She's at another radio station, but she's calling me again.
I just love it because you're one of the few people who has the courage to do it, to talk about it. And I think our community benefits from people who get out of the box and stop pretending like this isn't happening. This abuse is being perpetrated by our leaders, by people who represent us in Congress, by celebrities, by our ministers, firefighters, teachers, parents, you name it. It has nothing to do with what they do. It's what they do to us. And we have to stand up for that.
Okay, I'm not sure I really even want to go here, but the Michael Jackson movie's coming out next week.
Yeah.
We know that there was, I think, a $12 million, maybe $15 million re-edit because one of the accusers of Jackson had, I guess, something in the settlement that said, you cannot mention me at all. So this film will not touch on the abuse allegations. I mean, from a legal standpoint, Michael Jackson was exonerated. Right?
Yes.
And
we all saw it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I don't even know exactly what the question is. I guess a lot of us are still struggling. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. And a lot of us will like to say, well, he never had a childhood. So, you know, he just loved, maybe he just loved kids. Maybe he was just, you know, a whimsical, creative individual.
Yeah. Well, we can say that. A lot of people don't have a childhood. A lot of people were teased about their looks, about their noses and lips and ethnic representations of our heritage, like our hair. And he certainly was. I would say to you without question, I feel very sorry that Michael Jackson had the life that he did. He was an enormous talent. There is no question about it. When you look at all the videos of him as a little boy, what did it take to get him to the point where he could do all that? And it's not to say that you have to be jealous about the fact that he was so talented. He was talented,
right.
No doubt. But what if it takes your personhood, if it takes your sense of who you are, if it takes your values, your morals, your boundaries, so that you know who you are and you don't have to prey on other people, then fine. But if it does take all that, it's not worth it. And I think we as greedy adults have to stand back and say, is this me trying to make my kid famous for me because I wasn't famous? Or is this really the best way my child can live? If you look at all the child stars, most of them don't want anything to do with Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's because they were victimized.
No doubt. I mean, I don't see how they could not be, just given what I've seen in Hollywood. So what about that hurt people
Absolutely.
trope? I mean, why? Maybe I shouldn't say trope. Saying, because how do we figure that into the way that we judge or condemn or don't condemn these folks? I mean, people always say that about R. Kelly. He was a victim of abuse.
No
Michael
doubt.
Jackson likely was as well. When we know he was beaten, we don't know what else happened. So how do we factor that in? You know, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but is it a mitigating factor?
I think it's a mitigating factor. I think that the best thing to do is to teach your children, go and look and hear concerts and see movies that have to do with people who you know have histories of being predators. And then talk about this dichotomy between that part of him that is definitely evil because it's narcissistic, because they're constantly planning, grooming people so that they can abuse them. And then look at the talent that you also see with it. That goes to show that we are multifaceted.
Yeah.
And whether that you can buy that and say, oh, well, I'm just going to see this as a talented person, I don't think so. I think what comes out of it is, yes, there was talent, enormous talent. but there was also a very damaged person.
I mean, and I do think we push back on the double standard, right? Why are we, why do we have Trump in the White House when he's clearly done this repeatedly?
Mm-hmm.
He owned pageants just so he could peek at young girls naked. And yet others, seems obviously the double standard. We're going to go after Bill Cosby. We're going to go after R. Kelly. But this guy gets to be president.
Right.
And
watch while other people are convicted. And he's going to enjoy all that, most likely. But nobody's ever going to get him.
And all these other folks that are in the Epstein files. It's not just Trump. There's a lot of them that are still in banking, in politics. And so I think that's part of what we push back on. Is that a form of denial, though? Is that us not dealing with what we need to deal with?
Yeah, because we're not going to get them all. These are people who walk on the streets every day. People want to know, well, where are these people? Are they in one city or is it one demographic? No, these are people who you went to school with, people who are, I'm telling you, in your church, in the fire department, in the police department, schools.
So how do
everywhere.
we know? You said that earlier, that we need to teach our children the characteristics. What are those? And ourselves, teach ourselves the characteristics.
Yes.
Because, look, sheesh, the lieutenant governor of Virginia just shot himself and his wife. And they're saying complicated divorce, but it sounds like domestic violence.
It does sound like that, but it also sounds like there were some accusations that he had also assaulted other people. I don't know if they were men or women or what. And I keep saying men or women. I want people to know this doesn't happen to women. It also happens to men. We never talk about it. And a lot of men don't want people to talk about it because they consider it a compliment. Imagine that. A compliment if an older woman rapes them. It's okay. And a little boy can get an erection. Every mother who's ever raised a son knows that. They can get an erection while they're 6, 7, 8, 9, and on. But maybe up to 40, and it gets a little bit more difficult from that point on. But what I'm saying is, this is just a body. Like I said, a body will react. If you touch it a certain way, it will respond. That doesn't mean you like it. It just means the body is responding. So all these things have to be taken into account when you decide, I don't care what this person did, said, how they perform. I don't endorse this. I can't support a person who does this. Or I see the trouble in this world. And this is a person who didn't have the kind of upbringing they should have, and they have this enormous talent. But we need to educate our children about both sides, so that they can identify enormously talented people. And if they are ever approached by someone who's enormously talented, they don't have the right to say, I didn't know. No.
Yeah. Enormously talented, enormously rich, very persuasive.
Yes.
So
charming,
back to characteristics.
Personality. We're just talking about them. Personality up the wazoo. I mean, these are people who are warm and welcoming to you, who will get down on their knees, because that's how you talk to little children, right? You don't stand up and make them feel like you're a tower. You get down on their level. They know how to attract a child and make them feel comfortable. They don't want to play with children. So that means we have to look at our coaches, right? Little League. That's a great place for a predator to be, because we usually are so desperate to get a coach to go out there and play and teach our kids how to play sports that we just, excuse the fact that they may be drunk some of the time when they're out there, or they may be too touchy-feely, and your child is even coming home saying, Mr. So-and-so was in the locker room with us. Well, what the heck is he doing in there? That's not right. So I'm saying we have to look at the positives and the negatives all the time as adults if we're protecting and raising children, and know both sides and point both sides out to children so that they can be aware. A person who wants to spend time hugging Uncle so-and-so. This is what happened in my family. Go over and give Uncle so-and-so a hug. Well, sometimes Uncle so-and-so had his hand up your dress or in your panties, giving you a major hug. He was also having a major response to your body. Parents need to know, don't force your children to hug or kiss anybody. They need to do it because they want to or they feel it You talk about that before they do it, and then you let them do it. But don't force them. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean respect. That's how I was raised by Southern parents. That was a sign of respect when you hug them.
Right.
And don't let children sit on anybody's lap. Getting too close to people, period. No matter if they're a cousin. You can't assume that everybody's had the childhood you had. And that could go either way. Either you had a good one or you had a very horrendous, traumatic one, but you can't assume everybody had that. So the best thing to do is just let your child say hello, how you doing, teach them how to be friendly, but they don't have to touch. Touch is something we have to be careful of today because people have taken advantage of it, but people who are too young to understand it.
Dr. Gail Wyatt is our guest. It's not too late to call if you want to get in on this or hop into YouTube. The number is 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
You better work.
She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
For the first time ever, the Action Altadena Build Together Fair and Altadena Rebuild Trade Show are coming together. If you were impacted by the Eaton Canyon fire and you're still asking, where do I start? This is for you. Join James Farr, host of KBLA Talk 1580's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, Sunday, April 19th from 12 to 4 p.m. at the Collaboratory in Altadena. Get connected to the resources, experts, and support you need all in one place. Plus music, food, games, and prize drawings for the whole family. For more information, visit Eventbrite Altadena Rebuild Trade Show, because rebuilding starts together.
Stay informed with 24/7 power outage alerts from LADWP delivered straight to your phone or email when an outage occurs. Get notified when there's a major outage and again when your power is restored. Track up to 3 neighborhoods, like your home, your workplace, even a family member's. Stay connected. Stay informed. Sign up at ladwp.com/outage alert. That's ladwp.com/outage alert. Sign up today at ladwp.com/outage alert.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
The YouTube chat is always so informative, and a lot of people having conversation there. We're talking with Dr. Gail Wyatt. And one big case of this that I did want to address is Dolores Huerta, the situation with Cesar Chavez. Dolores Huerta just turned 94, I believe. She's amazing, an amazing leader, but held this secret. Dr. Wyatt's mic, please. Held this secret. Go ahead, Dr. Wyatt.
For 5 decades, 6 decades. She must have been a young woman when she joined with the group that was protesting Cesar Chavez. And I don't know when all of this started, if it was initial and it just continued. I don't know when, but the fact that she kept a secret all this time. And a lot of people criticize her for the fact that she did.
Yes.
But she explained that she did it for the greater good. She didn't want people to get distracted with the abuse and not think that farm workers needed their rights protected and that they needed a union. They needed to be acknowledged for the contributions that they're making, that we're suffering from now because we don't have enough people to do what farm workers used to do.
But some folks are also saying, well, these other women that were abused by him also, were not believed, possibly partly because she didn't come forward, and that she holds responsibility for that. Do you feel that's fair?
No, I think that who knows how this changed her life? We don't know by keeping
we know
that
she
secret.
had we know she had his baby.
Yeah, and that child lives somewhere else.
Right.
But we can't assume that one person should bear the brunt of all of this for everybody else.
Yeah.
Anyone could have stepped up. It was a difficult time in a very conservative group. Latinos, Hispanics are very conservative when it comes to sex and sex out of marriage. So, who knows what that did to
So
her.
are black folks. I mean,
exactly. Not
quiet
to say,
as it's kept.
Not to say that we weren't.
Yeah.
And still are,
Yeah.
about very prudish about the sex. And you would think as a people who had their sexuality controlled literally for 400 years, that we would feel differently about everyone getting an education. So at least they know how to protect their bodies. No, but no, we have black families standing up absolutely blocking the sex education in the schools.
You mentioned that men don't want to talk about it either because they feel that it was a compliment or because there's shame, right? And YG, someone brought it up in the chat, Compton rapper YG, wrote a song about his own sexual assault. He said he was assaulted by a 30-year-old when he was only 14. Really brave, I thought. I heard him talk
Very
about
much
it
so.
at a
Very
mental
much so.
health event.
And I've talked to men who were abused by women, older women usually, and it sounds terrorizing from their perspective to see breasts that would be hanging in their faces, during an act if a woman was on top and a boy was on the bottom. This must have been terrifying for them. They couldn't make them stop. They knew that their bodies were going to respond, but they had no control. And the issue of not having control is what is the most damning
Scary.
in these situations.
Yeah.
You can't make it stop. You can't even make it stop in your dreams. You can't even make it stop when you're taking a test. It becomes a part of you and your memory, and you have to work on compartmentalizing it so that under stress it may come out. Your abuse may come out, and what happened. You can relive it, you can see it, and you got to work on saying to yourself, I'm not going to think about that now. I'm going to put that to the side. I can think about it later, or I don't want to think about it at all, but it's not going to stop me from taking and passing this test. You have to have that internal conversation with yourself, and that's hard to do alone. People need help. And the kind of help that I'm recommending people get are not just with histories of abuse, but people who don't know anything about these topics. They need to know how to handle it. They need to know how to report. And they need to know that, yes, there will be consequences for your reporting. But it is far less than you sacrificing yourself for the joy and the privilege of somebody who hurt you walking around acting like they don't even know they did it.
Well, YG, I also thought it was really interesting. He said when he played the song about his abuse to his male friends, he said 90% of the men he played it for had similar stories. So apparently this is a lot more common.
This
than
is
we
very
think.
common.
Wow. Well, Dr. Gail Wyatt, as usual, it's been enlightening, and I know folks are grateful, as I am, that you joined us this morning.
There was just so much. I hope we have an opportunity again to talk. I'm hoping the community will rise up and let you know, Dominique, that you are our shero for doing it, for saying it, for living it. And we can't ask for anything better than for you to get the appreciation and the respect you deserve for being a hero, a shero, and a lioness.
Thank you. It's the eye of the tiger around here, the tiger and the lioness. The best of Tavis Smiley is up right now. He had a great week, so this will be an amazing show. Until next time, see you on social media. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
And Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A jury has reached a verdict in the federal antitrust case against Live Nation and Ticketmaster. The jury found Live Nation acted as an illegal monopoly. Plaintiff's attorney Jeffrey Kessler says it's a great day for antitrust law.
It's a great day for consumers and fans, and it's a great day for the 34 states and District of Columbia who I've been honored to work for on this matter.
Live Nation plans to challenge the ruling. It's been more than 26 years since Asha Degree, a black girl, vanished from her North Carolina home at just 10 years old. Now her family is renewing their push for answers, increasing the reward to $100,000 for information about her disappearance. And Lil Jon is opening up about fame and loss in his first memoir. I Only Shout So You Can Hear Me traces his life story, including the death of his son, Nathan Smith, and will be released October 20th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron will hit another milestone when the Lakers play Houston Saturday in Game 1 of the Western Conference playoffs. This will be LeBron's 19th playoff appearance, which ties him for the NBA record with Karl Malone and John Stockton. Game 1 tips off tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at Crypto.com. Live coverage on ABC. With the injuries to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, LeBron's son Bronny has moved up in the Lakers' rotation. In the last 6 games, Bronny is averaging 17.2 minutes. The Dodgers begin a 7-game road trip tonight at Colorado. The Dodgers are 14-4, best record in Major League Baseball. The Yankees are glad the Angels have left New York City. During the 4-game series at Yankee Stadium, Angels outfielder Mike Trout hit 5 home runs and had 9 RBIs. Trout became one of only 4 players in MLB history to hit 5 home runs in a series against the Yankees. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive. Time now for the best of Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's Best of Tavis Smiley Show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this program at your leisure. Another great Best of Tavis Smiley Show on tap for you today. In our second hour today, actor, director, and producer Blair Underwood takes us inside His new book, it's called A Soldier's Wife, My Mother, the Marvelous Mrs. Marilyn A. Underwood. The book follows the ascent of Blair's mother as a pioneering black female executive before pivoting to her role as the matriarch of a military family. Blair Underwood today in our second hour. In our third hour today, two conversations. First, we are inside of Black Maternal Health Week, and so we'll talk with the renowned OBGYN, Dr. Donna Adams Pickett, about the urgent need for awareness, advocacy, and action around maternal health disparities. On the B side of our three, a conversation with renowned civil rights attorney Ben Crump on the curious case of Henrietta Lacks, no-knock warrants, and more. Ben Crump today on the backside of our three. But in this first hour today, two more conversations, Heschel and King. Heschel and King. On the B side, 58 years ago this month, they killed his father on that balcony in Memphis, a conversation with the eldest son of Dr. King, Martin Luther King III. Later in this hour, but we commenced this hour with the daughter of the rabbi. Pleased to start today's program in conversation with Dartmouth professor Susanna Heschel, daughter of the legendary theologian, philosopher, and friend of Dr. King, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. Professor Heschel, good to have you back. Susanna, how are you?
Thank you. It's wonderful to be with you. Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's great to hear your voice. You are always welcome on this platform, as you well know. I want to start with a couple of broad questions. I mean, you teach every day, so you can handle this. A couple of broad questions, and then I want to narrow it with some specifics I want to get to a little bit later in this half hour. But what's your the President of the United States, which we talk about every day on this program, whether we want to or not, is invited every year to the well of Congress to give the State of the Union address. He lays in every year. Every president does. What's your sense right now? It's a big question. It's a broad question. I'm asking it deliberately and intentionally. What's your sense of the state of the world? I started with that song from DJ Rogers I love, Overcome. That's the hope. That's the dream. That's the aspiration that we will overcome all this madness at some point. But what's your sense of the state of the world right now, Susanna Heschel?
The state of the world is quite terrible, as we know. I'll just say that this country, the United States, is waging a war. We don't understand why. What's the purpose? We just know that innocent people are being killed, and we don't see how it's going to end and why it's going on. So, but I would say perhaps more than that, if we take the religious temperature of the United States, I think we are in bad shape. We're in the kind of shape that the prophets warned us about in the Bible. We are a country that's become angry at each other, angry at our own lives. We're full of hate. We are destroying our dignity. We are vulgar, using vulgar language from the very top, from the White House. I think we're in very bad shape. And I wish the Hebrew prophets, I wish Dr. King were here to help us, because we desperately need some help to get out of this state.
Tell me more. I love the way you framed it, and you always do this. Whenever Suzanne and I are in conversation, I ask one question, she gives me one answer, and it frames the rest of the conversation. She makes it so easy for me, and I love her for that. But that phrase, if you take the religious temperature of our nation right now, tell me more about the way you read that temperature. What are you seeing?
Well, one of the very basic principles of religious faith, of every single religion, is that we treat each other with respect and dignity. That human dignity is, of course, innate. God created us, and either God created every human being or God isn't God. That's it. And if you believe that God made some people better than others, you don't believe in God. That's clear. And there are too many people around these days who are saying that some people's lives are worth more than others, and that's why it's okay to kill them. Well, it's not. So in that sense, the religious temperature of this country is not good. Now, I also have to say that dignity, human dignity, is something that we all value and treasure. We want to be treated with dignity. But our dignity also depends on the way we treat other people. When we treat other people with dignity, then we become people of dignity. Dignity is something that we do. It's not something passive. And when we see the president speaking in vulgar language about the Pope, that I find intolerable.
As I said, you ask her one question, and she'll give you a frame with which to operate inside of, and I'm delighted to be in this frame with the daughter of the legendary Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, Susanna Heschel, professor of Jewish Studies at Dartmouth. When we come forward, I want to go right to those two words, vulgarity and dignity. Vulgarity and dignity. Maybe not in that order, but we're going to tackle both of them when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
If you keep on believing, you can overcome. He promised us we would all.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
Can we just talk?
Tavis Smiley.
You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavisTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavisTalks.com. Because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
58 years ago, a bullet tried to silence a dream. It couldn't. On April 4th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was taken from us. Not because he failed, but because he was winning. Winning the fight for a nation determined to live up to its promise. That fight didn't end then, and it can't end now. California is the most powerful state and the most powerful country on earth. But right now, too many people are being left behind, priced out of their homes, locked out of opportunity, told to wait for justice that's already long overdue. Dr. King didn't wait. He taught us the fierce urgency of now and acted. Now it's up to us to carry that same urgency today. We need leaders who will fight the triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism. Not someday, now. On this anniversary, let's honor Dr. King the only way that truly counts, by doing the work. Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
Can we just talk?
You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavisTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavisTalks.com. Because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
The Joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Fig Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Prince and the Revolution!
10 years ago, the world lost a genius.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince trusted few people. Tavis Smiley was one of them.
Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Tavis Smiley. Tonight, a rare conversation with one of music's biggest superstars, Prince.
Prince opened up to Tavis in ways he rarely did with anyone else. Honest, unfiltered, and unforgettable. On Tuesday, April 21st, as we mark the 10th anniversary of his transition, experience 3 uninterrupted hours of Prince in his own words.
When people criticize my work and attack my personality, it doesn't help me. I can't do anything with it.
Don't just remember Prince, hear him.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants.
Tavis Smiley, Tuesday, April 21st, only on Tavis Smiley.
When the story gets twisted, who's going to tell the truth? When they cut the microphones, who's still talking? When history gets rewritten, who remembers what really happened? We do. KBLA Talk 1580. Black media isn't just important right now, it's essential. Because when mainstream outlets move on, we stay. When the headlines ignore our